Hello everyone, welcome to Working with BIM Part 4, the BIM Execution Plan. Previously, I gave you an introduction to PAS1192-2 2013 document, which is the specification for information management for delivery phase of construction projects using BIM. And then I went to explain about the information management cycle in a BIM project. Then I gave you an introduction to EIR. Now, if you have not seen these, I strongly recommend you to first view those and come back to this video. Today I'm going to talk about the BIM execution plan. Now, EIR with other regulatory documents plus any special contractual provisions to enable BIM in a project, for example, CHA BIM protocol, we call for bids. And these bids are supposed to include a BIM execution plan. Why a BIM execution plan? We'll understand as you go through this discussion. I will take a few text from different places in this explanation. I'll first take the NBS statement which says that the success of your BIM project is down in no small part to developing an effective BIM execution plan. So you can understand it is a very important document that we will be preparing when we are implementing our projects using BIM. Now, BIM execution plan is often abbreviated as BEP or BxP. Is developed both at pre and post contract stages and is prepared as a direct response to EIR. Now, this is important to understand. Now, direct response to EIR. We discussed about EIR, we identified the role of EIR, and now we know that what EIR is for in our contract. Now, EIR stipulates the information obligations of parties into a project. Now, when you prepare something as a response to EIR in your proposal or in your bid, it means that it is a document that you are showing how you are going to fulfill the employer's information requirements. So BEP or BxP, I will use both as it counts because you have to be familiar with both terms. The BIM execution plan is prepared consciously for a project by considering both the project program, parties involved or likely parties involved if it is at a pre-contract stage, and mapping those to the EIR. As PS document, BIM execution plan is a plan prepared by the supplier to explain how the information modeling aspects of a project will be carried out. Now, I trust now you understand this statement better after my previous explanation. The BEP shall enable the employer to determine if the requirements within the EIR are achievable, allowing for adjustment or negotiation of the supply chain's capabilities if necessary. You can see it is more like a pre-qualification document, but it is not a pre-qualification document as such. It is a requirement of the contract, but at the stage of bidding, it helps the employer to evaluate if the year requirements can be fulfilled by the proposed plan of the bidder. And also it can be used to negotiate for any adjustments that is necessary. So rather than it being a pre-qualification document, you can consider it to be something similar to the BOQ, because the BOQ explains how much the bidder is going to charge for each of the work item. And in the bid evaluation, we see whether the bidder has given appropriate rates so that he can actually perform that task, those tasks within the expected costs. And if it is not, we are concerned and we might negotiate, we might ask for explanation and agree for something new if necessary. So same is applied here. We see whether the proposed mechanism and other things the bidder is proposing in terms of achieving the employee's information requirement are suitable and appropriate to really achieve those. And this is at pre-contract stage. At this stage, it is more of a proposal which is open for negotiation, and obviously it need to have some flexibility because of other parties who will be joining to the projects. Therefore, upon the agreement, that is upon the award of contract, a post-contract BIM execution plan will be prepared. We say it is resubmitted by the supplier to the employer, confirming the whole supply chain's capability, and also a thing called the master information delivery plan, and that which shows how different parties will contribute to in terms of information, and that the relevant parties have agreed and committed to this BIM execution plan. So that is necessary. That happens at the post-contract stage, but the allowance is to be there in our contracts for that to happen. Now this BIM execution plan is submitted by the supplier on behalf of the whole supply chain. When I say supplier, I remind you, it is not the machinery supplier or material supplier. This is the information supplier we are talking about. So those are architects, engineers, even the builder who will be producing any model information, digital information, or related documentary information, which are linked to the digital model. And only this party who is in agreement with the client will be the direct supplier of information to the client. Say for example, the design lead is in agreement with the client, and he will be coordinating everything and providing all necessary information to the client, and also leading the information exchange across other parties. Then the design lead will have further parties below his supply chain. Say for example, design lead may be an architect, so he may have subcontracted the structural work to a structural engineer, quantity survey works to a quantity survey. Likewise, there will be number of parties below him, and they may also have subcontracted certain parts to other parties. However, the client will not have direct interaction with these parties, and client will directly interact with the design lead, because that is the party the client has the contract with, and this party is therefore responsible to supply BIM execution plan representing his total supply chain. That is important. So there has to be a proper mechanism to enable this activity for the lead supplier of information. And therefore it includes a summary of the capabilities and responsibilities of the whole supply chain, including himself. Supply is responsible for cascade of information through own supply chain, so it is also part of his responsibility. It is understood, I think. So that is, say, for the design stage. When it is for the during the construction stage, it will be the contractor or the builder who is leading, who will be producing production models and also as-built models, and for that he would use various other parties, and he is responsible for all the information cascading through his supply chain. Pre-contract BIM execution plan. This shall consist of everything requested in EIR. The EIR will have the requirements identified, and in addition to those, the following must be there. Remember that it is not simply addressing what is there in EIR, but in addition to this, these are also recommended to be included in the BEP, BIM Execution Plan, for evaluation. Project implementation plan, setting out the capability, competence and experience of potential suppliers bidding for a project, along with their quality documents. Then goals for collaboration and information modeling. Why, what are the, like, it is more kind of sort of strategic statements. Then major project milestones consistent with the project program. So you have to link information delivery milestones to the project program milestones. Then project information model, or PIM, remember, that is the information model during the CapEx stage until the handover. So the delivery strategy of PIM is another aspect that you have to cover under the execution plan. So what will be there in PIM and how they are to be delivered will be identified as strategies. I will talk a little further about a few of these things, like PIP, Project Implementation Plan, is described as a statement relating to suppliers' IT and human resource capability to deliver EIR, that is from PAS document. The PIP shall be submitted as part of initial BIM execution plan by each organization bidding for a project. That is also given there. So everybody who is bidding for the project will be submitting a PIP as a part of BEP. A lot of abbreviations coming on. Right, so be familiar with these things. It is important because many documents refer those using abbreviations, and even when you are watching online presentations, YouTube videos, etc., you will regularly come across these terms. So try to be familiar. So PIP is one of the documents used by the employer to assess the capability, competence and experience of the potential supplier bidding for a project, right? So that is the whole idea. This document should provide enough details to facilitate this, right? So this includes a supply chain capability summary form, incorporating the supplier's billing information management assessment forms, the supplier information technology assessment forms, the supplier resource assessment forms. All these documents are prepared or offered by CPIC protocol for templates, right? So remember CPICs? Do you remember that? If you have referred SMM7, you might remember. That is Construction Project Information Committee. Is the organization that produced these things. So it is the same organization that produced SMM7, which we don't use any longer, but it is a key standard method of measurement document that we used to use in construction industry. And these documents or rather templates are prepared by them and made available free for you to download and use. So each of these documents can be filled by relevant parties, including the parties in the supply chain, and then they can be summarized by the main information supplier or the main contractor, main lead consultant, to be submitted, not yet lead consultant, but to be lead consultant who is bidding for the project can submit this. At the post-contract stage also, now that is based on the intended team of supply chain, but at post-contract stage also you can refine this by identifying the real parties who are involved in the process. This explains the basic process. You can see that supply IT assessment form, supplier BIM resource assessment form, they are combined, they feed into supply resource assessment form, and supply resource assessment form will feed into supply chain capability summary. And this is also coming from Mervyn Richards. Thanks, Mervyn. So it's good representation of the process. We'll have a brief look at what kind of things are there in supplier BIM assessment form. This form to be completed by all appropriate organizations within the supply chain. Questions are examined in the areas of competence. However, there are slightly other things also. I said, for example, there are gateway questions, a set of key questions about willingness to exchange data and the quality of that data, right? That is to be verified, whether they are, what sort of data they are willing to exchange. Now, given an example, are they ready to exchange their native model files, like Revit files? Are they ready to exchange Revit files, having all details inside that, or they are only ready to exchange IFC exports of those Revit files? Will have a concern how far we can exchange data. So in an event, IFC is good enough, yes, that is fine, but if it is not good enough, then we have an issue. So we have to be sure about that. So we have such gateway questions to verify how far they are willing to share, exchange data, and the quality of data they are planning to share. Then there is this BIM analysis section, which is an opportunity for each organization to demonstrate its understanding of each of the analysis methods that could be used on the project, right? That is, say, for crash detection, optimizations in terms of energy, lighting, etc. So this is for various organizations to show their experience, capabilities in terms of using BIM for analysis. Next is the BIM project experience. That is an opportunity for each organization to highlight their projects where the benefit of building information management have been realized, right? Building information, I emphasize on management here as BIM because just using BIM technology is not going to help in proper getting the best advantage of BIM, or probably meeting the client's expectation of implementing BIM. Then there is this BIM capability questionnaire, a set of questions to help the project team to identify training, coaching, and support requirements if we are going with these parties. Then we have supply information technology assessment form. This is for supply chain members to demonstrate their information exchange capability and IT maturity, and provide a meaningful method of assessing differences and similarities with the project IT systems. That is because they may have good technology, but its compatibility to this proposed project, there can be differences, and therefore all this to be identified. The need is there, and supply information technology assessment form will help in that. And this includes questions on general information and company policies on information exchange, intended to show what electronic data and information the company is willing to exchange. Now this, again, you can see that in previous section also a similar thing was covered. Now this is again assessing it from the other end, that is by looking at the company policies, how they support this information exchange. Then technical information on software and systems intended to enable the company to give the project team confidence that IT systems and procedures are mature and robust, right? That is also necessary for the team to feel that the proposed organization's IT capability is good enough for this project. Any issues of interoperability must be resolved at this point, because this is at the supply chain level. So if there are any issues of interoperability, they must be resolved at this level. If you can't resolve those at this level, we advise to find somebody else to replace that party in the supply chain. So based on the responses, methods of information sharing shall be reviewed and resolved by the lead supplier there, right? So there have been negotiation happening at this stage regarding these aspects. Then the finally agreed solution will go to the BIM execution plan. Hope that it is clear. So BIM execution plan is the response to EIR, and however, you identified that not only it's a direct response, but it also will include certain additional recommended information for the client or client's consultant or advisor to identify whether the proposed supplier is suitable to implement this project so that he can fulfill the EIR requirement. So let's do BIM right. You understand that doing BIM is not about working with new tools. It is about doing the things right, and you have to do the things right start from the very beginning. I recall this diagram. You can see that this is the briefing stage, and the key things that we discussed happen here. Those things happen here. So we came up to the BIM execution plan, more things to be there. So upon the, but however, the selection is very, very important for the success of any project. Even in our normal procurement lectures, you would have realized that setting up the proper procurement system is key to success of a project. So here we have to set up proper information delivery cycle or information management cycle by setting up proper or bringing in proper parties who can deliver the requirements of EIR. And once it is verified, they can be awarded the contract and go further. So after awarding the contract, the BIM execution plan will be updated as I explained. Then the master information delivery plan will be prepared, because everybody who will be supplying information will be identified, and based on that the master information delivery plan can be prepared. And once everything is ready, then we go to the briefing stage. Without that, we don't go. So if we don't fulfill this, and or if we go here without fulfilling this, we are not going to do real BIM for our client. So take enough time, talk to the client, explain to the client. If the client wants to do BIM and get the benefit of BIM, you have to pay attention to these things first. Okay, so hope you got some good understanding from my discussion about doing BIM with PAS1192-2 document. And I must tell you that almost everything I showed you, then few things I explained, mentioned, are coming from this document. So I strongly advise you to go through the full document and understand to the best level that you can. With that, we come to the end of my series of discussion. Hope to see you in another discussion on BIM. See you.